It's 2004, and Toronto has just defeated the Ottawa Senators in Game 7. Names like Joe Nieuwendyk, Matt Sundin, and Gary Roberts helped capture the series, but later exit the following with defeat in the next round at the hands of Philadelphia. And for Leafs fans, that was the last time they were able to witness their team advancing past the initial round. Following the lockout, the Leafs weren't able to even get a sniff at the postseason for 7 more campaigns, only to qualify the next to get beat by their favorite postseason opponent, the Boston Bruins. But a few more seasons of mediocrity did grant the fanbase some hope, as the club drafted a young core group in William Nylander, Mitch Marner, and Auston Matthews. The Holy Trinity, as they're called, was anointed as the trio that was destined to bring a cup to Toronto for the first time since 1967. Things for a while were bright in Leafland, as the youthful team was developing into a prime cup contender statistically. And in 2018, the sky was the limit for the fanbase, as the recently appointed GM and Kyle Dubas signed John Tavares to a massive 7-year, $77 million contract, granting a dream for the forward who grew up cheering for them. Toronto was an instant Stanley Cup favorite moving forward, and insert that pesky team known as the Boston Bruins, the team that never goes away and knows from experience exactly how to upset a team and a fan base. As a postseason after number 91 escaped what he thought was a dumpster fire ready to implode, was part of the squad that fell victim to Boston for the second time in a row. The Babcock firing came and went, Keefe took the reins behind the bench, and the Leafs went on a run, granting them a shot at playoff entry. It was their chance to finally redeem themselves by winning the qualifiers and then the first round, giving their fans a taste of success for the first time in 16 years. The stage was set in a forced Game 5 to show their fans that they meant business. And then this happened. So riddle me this, how does a team whose first line is making less than $1 million more than the Jackets' entire dress team make this upset happen? How does a team that's so offensively stacked blow 3 deciding games in a row only to prolong the mental torture for everyone who represents them? Reason number 1, insert Kyle Dubas. A guy that lives for analytics yet hasn't played hockey at a higher level since Shanahan, who recruited Dubas, says he was looking for a, quote, rising star. The former Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds stick boy worked his way up to the NHL after being the Greyhounds GM. Full of promise, one of the youngest assistant GMs in history was determined to make his mark early. The Tavares signing, giving the Holy Trinity a hefty pay raise, were all huge moves that made what the NHL world saw as a Stanley Cup contender. With an extreme fetish for offense, Dubas built an extremely top-heavy team that could dominate and take over games at times with their star power. In the regular season, that is. So why isn't this enough in the postseason? And why doesn't this formula work? One thing that every Stanley Cup team has in common is a very valuable 4-letter word: grit. As the playoffs in hockey are a completely different beast. Instead of goals being the shared decider, instead it's heart, sacrifice, and consistent contributions in all positions. Sure, he built a team that has talent, but not a team that's built for postseason hockey, where the being-in-your-face, relentless, high-hitting, constant shot-blocking squad always prevails. Leading into the next catalyst to the colossal failure is the lack of depth. Going back to a recent video I released, when 3 of your forwards are among the 7 biggest cap hits in the league, it's going to limit your amount of talent placed throughout other areas of the ice. And when all of your money is spent on putting pucks in the back of the net instead of keeping them out, well, that's a major problem. Perhaps the well-renowned business insider Forbes said it best, quote, investing so steeply in a sliver of the roster is not viewed as conducive to depth, balance, or long-term success. End quote. St. Louis Blues Cup recipients of 2019 had not one single player making $10 million or more on the roster. Washington won in Ovechkin, Pittsburgh none either. I could go on, but surely by now you get the picture. All of these teams were sharing the wealth, distributing it throughout the lines, instead of hoarding it in 3 or 4 players. Which is exactly why the team couldn't execute, especially after losing Muzzin. The defensive responsibility is shouldered by very few who are expected to fill the massive void. And when they're gone, players that are making less than $1 million are expected to pick up the slack. One very important lesson to be learned here is, hockey is the best sport because each and every championship isn't bought, it's earned. Unfortunately for Leafs fans, this lesson should have been learned earlier, but instead, it's the same outcome every year that's been biting them where it hurts, with no end in sight. Here's my condolences. Until next year.